let's do some updates on some older cases, and we got a couple of new ones. So I'm going to fly through this a little faster than normal, but if you have questions, please stop me. So we had a report in Williston. Charles is the investigator that was mainly working on this, and it's quite interesting. He says that he was in a work truck. He noticed a yellow-orange light in his mirror. He was one of those folks that works on those big windmills that we have out there. And yeah, he said it must have cleared the windmill by about 20 feet. It left the tower area and it flew up into the clouds with the beam still shining toward the other technicians. It had yellow-orange lights and multiple beams coming from it. And Charles finished this case as an unknown. So although the date was approximate, the witness appeared credible and sincere. The object was within 300 meters of the witness, so it was pretty close. Certainly he would have been able to identify a plane or a drone or something like that. And his description doesn't really conform with anything that we can associate with being man-made or a natural phenomenon. I'm going to move that down there. So a new case in Richardton, North Dakota. I need to make this go away. My apologies. It's just not wanting to do that. So the witness states that after dinner, him and his fiance noticed strange movements in the sky. They proceeded to film the lights as they laid on their backs, trying to minimize any movement. We really didn't see that imaging, and we've reached out to them and are waiting to schedule an interview. So that is in progress. The next one is in Fessenden, North Dakota. It's also in progress, and we got very little information on that as well. I have heard back from this witness. He is supposed to be sending me the imaging that he has, but he noticed a strange object, what he described as an object, in some thermal video that he had. He did, yes. He had a thermal camera. I don't have enough information to explain why. So the the question that we had in the audience here is wondering if he was a paranormal investigator and if he had a thermal camera running. It sounds like that might be the case, but I really don't have enough information yet. But I'll definitely let you know when we update this case. So the next one is in Benson County, happened on September 4th. And he says that I was watching the news around 10:15 and out of the corner of my eye saw some lights outside my window. He got up, went to the window to see what it was, and could see two bright white lights about 100 feet, about 10 to 15 feet above the ground. Watched it for a few seconds and it didn't move. He went to put on some slippers and go outside and see it better, but it was gone when he got outside. When he came back in and was watching TV again, looked out the window, and again, it was about a half mile away. They were both just sitting there, and then one of the lights started to move around. I watched it for a minute or so and then thought it was just my neighbor combining his crop. The next afternoon, I drove around the block and saw the field had not been harvested. So interesting. There wasn't any other reports. He says he's just wondering if there was any other reports. I have reached out to him and haven't heard back. So Minnesota cases. So we mentioned this case last month. It is a case of interest. It happened in Sabin, Minnesota. So in the narrative, he says he saw something speed across the road that he saw it out of the corner of his eye. It was a silver chrome ball that had stopped and moved at about 90 degrees to the right. It moved through some corn, moved through some shelter belts, and went across a gravel road, and then turned and did about a 90-degree turn and flew over some corn and then flew off into a field and went up into a cloud. And I'll play the video for you. The video is not the best, but they never really are when you're looking for something at the last second. So. So I'm going to point out right up here at the end by these trees here, that particular spot is of interest. So you're going to see the top of a water tower here. That's not the object, but you'll soon see the object. You can see just a little glimpse of it there. So as you can see, that's the water tower back there. And that is the object in question. So I'm just going to stop it there. So I went out to the scene with this particular witness, and there were some interesting anomalies that we noticed. So the background EMF radiation was about 40, and at that area where he saw it cross, because he did see it cross, you couldn't see it in the video, it jumped up to between 70 and 80. But just in that very specific area, it was just across the gravel road and going down into the ditch. You'd walk a few feet away from it and it would go right back to background. So that was one thing that was very interesting. We have some really good images from the video, and I did have some stills enlarged and some imaging done. I didn't really get what I was looking for, so we did send this out to our photo analysis team, who did some stacked images, and I have those for you. So this is what the stacked images show. And according to the photo analyst, he believes that the object is actually cube-shaped. He's not sure what that, it looks like stuff is coming out the side of it. You can see it in both images, and the two images are in different places in the video. So when you're initially looking at that video, the first thought is, could this be a balloon? There's quite a few things that suggest it's not a balloon, and we'll talk about that more when I close this case, so stay tuned for the next meeting. I do have some other images of it moving through the corn, so it's moving below the tassels of the corn, which a balloon, of course, wouldn't do, and it's moving quite fast. So I'm waiting to get some of that back, and we will see what else we can come up with on this. But the images are very interesting. It does not show what we would expect if it was a balloon. I'm going to run through these pretty quick. We are going to come back to most of these at our next meeting, so I apologize for running over time. So we had a sighting in Elk River. Peter Collins was the investigator, and he completed this as an unknown. And I don't have an image of that. We do have an image of this particular sighting, and Linda Folkerts Maleka is the investigator on this. It happened down in Carver, Minnesota, which is just southwest of the Twin Cities area. And interesting images. I'm not quite sure what that is, but we'll, you know, she's got it as unknown other. It'd be nice if we could maybe have some of this analyzed. I'm not sure if she did that. I didn't look too hard into the case, but interesting picture. On June 29th, down in Lakeville, we had a report of light in the sky. says that he witnessed over 12 high-altitude UFOs with erratic flight patterns. I only see one, so I'm not quite sure what the image is about, but Joel Henry is working on that, and we'll be able to give you more information once he finishes that case. There's a video. Jared, is this the one that has a lot of profanity?
I don't think so.
Okay, one of them I was watching had a lot of profanity, so my apologies if there's a lot of profanity.
I mean, you can see it up against the other star, so you can see it moving. As far as seeing it moving erratic, well, when you zoom in, obviously you can't see anything at that point. So, you know, if you're taking a video like this, if you want to zoom in, that's fine, but then zoom back out so you have reference for us to look at. Otherwise, it's just a light on a piece of paper or light on a pixel on the screen, doesn't mean anything. I don't remember if you can see this one actually move or not. Obviously, it's real choppy on our end. It's fine, but it's real choppy on our end, so we really can't see it that well, but at least the movement. So really, this could be just about anything. I have no idea. I will say that Joel is no longer doing field investigations, though. And I don't know the whole reason for that, but Bill McNeff, who was the former chief investigator, has taken over this case. So hopefully we'll hear from him soon to find out what the heck this thing is.
So yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'm suspicious that that could be the ISS. It looks a lot like what the ISS looks like when it's flying over, but we will see when it's completed. So in Minnetrista, Linda Folkerts-Maleka is working on this case, and the main narrative really is just square object moving south slowly into the wind. This is a video, we'll play it for you. I'm sure where it went.
Yeah, he lost it. It comes back to it.
So I have a suspicion as to what this may be. I've had several cases where it's actually one of those banners that's being pulled by a plane, but you can't see the plane. Not sure if that's what that is, but we'll see what Linda comes up with when she finishes this case. This one I found kind of interesting. He doesn't have the exact location, just somewhere in Lincoln County. Tom Maher, the state director for Minnesota, is working this case, and you can probably see the objects in question there. He said he saw dark objects shoot past extremely fast from the southwest to the northeast and happened to catch them in the photo. After the photo was taken, there was nothing flying around as far as I could see. I took several other pictures in the same area with nothing showing up in any of the other photos. So he does mention that he saw the objects. It wasn't just something that appeared in the photos. So I find that pretty interesting, and we'll see what Tom comes up with on that case. Plymouth, Minnesota, back on July 28th. Peter Collins is the investigator. It is in progress right now, and my apologies. Some of these I'm not too familiar with. So it looks like he saw a bright white speck on the edge of clouds, but doesn't really say what he actually saw, just that it didn't move and the clouds moved underneath it. So not a lot of information with this one. It'll be interesting to see what Peter comes up with in his investigation. So a new case, just recently actually on September 13th in Bemidji, and Steve Hero is the investigator that's been assigned to this. So At about 9 p.m., he saw a bright light in his periphery while sitting outside. When he looked, it was a star moving in a circular way in the night sky. He says he called his wife to come out. Just as she started walking through the house, the bright light started to dim and she missed it by seconds. While she stood outside with me, 7 or 8 stars moved in a circular pattern above us. Most came from the east by northeast. 1 of 2 came from the west. They weren't moving in a straight line like the ISS, Starlink, or a plane. At one point, 3 of them stopped momentarily in the sky and made a triangle pattern before going on. That is it looks like. So that's what's going on the Northland.
Caramel apple. Well, at least it's not ranch. Oh, that's not too bad. And you're still here again. Meeting's over. You can go home. Feel free. Don't have to hang out here. Linda, this is an absolutely fascinating read.